folks, welcome ye all to yet another podcast of mine. Another Friday has caught up with us, people. Yes, it has, and plenty has been going on this week because Gamescom has kicked off, people. Yes, it has, and that's what we are here to talk about. The opening night live that is well, I always thought it was the very first thing to happen, but in fact, Microsoft kind of streamed an event I think it was the day before or a couple of days before, but it was a pre-recorded thing. As far as I could tell anyway, and it was almost like their after show one from the E3 one that they did. So they did a proper one with Phil Spencer on it, and then they did a second one, which was great. But then they did the only stream that they've done for Gamescom, as far as I know, and as far as they're doing, was the stream that they did, which was of the same format as the second show they did last time. So it wasn't really that. I mean, it was fine so far as, but it just felt like it was the same stuff again that was in the second show at E3. So there wasn't a much. I might just run through the list of it after we've done the opening night live, which was a bit more exciting. And to be fair to the opening night live, it was 2 hours long and there was a lot in it. I mean, I think you could probably have whittled it down to an hour's worth of stuff that I was genuinely interested in. And of course, there's always fragments of things. And they also do PC stuff as well. So, you know, it's one of those mixed bags, really. I'll pluck out the things that are non-PC because I'm not a PC gamer. I might mention one or two things just because they caught my interest and they're sort of things that I would love to see on console if we can get them. But it was a really good night. So, I mean, as always, people, as always, I'm not going to put timestamps down for. Well, I might do. I'll see how scattered I am at. I've got my notes that I took just when I watch it. I just jot down things that are announced, and then what I try and do in these things, which are usually a couple of days later, and in this case that is true. It happened on Wednesday evening, and this is now Friday evening. So I've had a couple of days to chew it over. Normally, before recording one of these, I would maybe watch again, but sometimes it's nice to do them without a refresh just to see what stuck, because what stuck can normally be the stuff that's going to be good, you know, or, you know, the things that stick, generally that's a good sign, isn't it? Things that you forget, maybe not so much. So we'll see how we go, but I've got my notes anyway. So far as, yes, but I will put timestamps down for whatever I decide to throw up on the main banner this week, which may just be opening night live or whatever, but I might put a tag in it or something. But if you came to watch something very specific, or you don't want to hear me ramble on in the opening section, or, you know, whatever, I'll put the time codes in the description so that you can jump to when you put the time codes in the description, when you actually look at the feed, you'll see the points on the bar when you're looking at it on YouTube, where you can just jump to and it'll tell you what each part is. So I shall do that as I do now that I know how to do it. So far as the channel goes, I haven't recorded a huge amount. I haven't actually gamed a huge amount this week, but I did manage to get up a part 5 of Dead Space because we're nearing the end of that now. I've been doing them in 2-hour segments. That segment was 1 hour and 20 minutes simply because I recorded it before opening night live, which was what we're going to talk about now, and it just happened to be the time I had to finish in order to get ready to watch it. So there was 1 hour and 20 minute one, but I think another 2-hour session might do it on Dead Space playthrough on the Xbox Series X, and it's a very small lump of people that seem to be enjoying that, but they're a solid crew, you know, and they seem to be loving it, so I want to see it through, just so I've got it for historic reasons on the channel, because it is, as we all know, one of my favourite games ever. So whether or not I get on to doing Dead Space 2, certainly not straight away. I think I would I'd much prefer to do something that's more RPG, because that's what our channel, what my channel is about, that we are all involved with, people, and why a lot of you came to the channel in the first place. And we do have things that I do want to record that have just come out. Well, to be fair, I wanted to do a few episodes of Psychonauts, which came out this week, Psychonauts 2, which came out this week, and it's on Games Pass. There's no excuse to play it. I want to play that one anyway. There was also Death's Door, and there was also Ascent, which I haven't done a couple of parts of, and I kept saying I was going to. And now that one of the things has been mentioned in Opening Night Live has come about, in fact it's just popped up behind me, I also want to give that a go, see it at 60 FPS, all these sort of things. So I have ideas of what I want to do. I've also had people asking me to do more Dark Souls 3 from that playthrough I started, which I have every intention of doing, but as we talked about last week, it's one that I always kind of fearful of, because you can end up recording for about 3 hours and only actually have an hour's worth of footage. But anyway, people, I haven't done a huge amount of gaming. What I have done today, I meant to be actually a bit more prepared than I am for this particular podcast, because I took today off as an extra day so that I could extend the weekend, because we've got Monday off. I'll have the Friday and the Monday. And the house was like, it's been needing a proper good. I mean, I'm a quite a tidy person, right? So there's no real mess in my house, but it's just like dusting and cleaning, basically. It just has needed it for a while. It's not been done for a bit, to a great degree. I've done little bits here and there. So I suppose you could call it a spring clean, but in summer. So I went for an 8.5K run when I got up this morning. That was about 9 o'clock till 10 o'clock. Showered down, and then the rest of the day has just been cleaning the house from top to bottom, changing the bedding. I mean, it just like everything, just gutting it right down. So I'm really happy that all my shit is shiny, people. I do love it when my shit is shiny. I love when I say my shit is shiny, I'm talking about my electrical stuff. So I mean, everything's shiny, but I do love it when I polish down all the, the PS5 and the Series X and all of these. Well, you can't see them all, but down here are all the PS2, the PS3, and the 360. This is the little sort of retro den we've got behind me here. And I mean, for those that haven't watched previous podcasts, behind me is my PS3 and part of the 360 collection. A lot of the 360s are downstairs, the ones that are back compat anyway. And the Xbox One games are all downstairs. Xbox Series X games are downstairs, and PS5 games, the PS4 games are downstairs. So I've got this little area behind me is sort of the retro section. But it's just a shame that I keep saying this. It's just a shame that I cover it all. And we have got PlayStation here as well. The PlayStation lamp's behind me, but we just can't see it, people, because my big lummox is in the way. Well, there's a bit of PlayStation for you anyway. Look. So should we crack on, people? Should we crack on? Can I say this and can I say no more? Flaggins up to you all, people. Should we get a close up of the flaggins up? It's actually quite early. I was gonna have a 7-up while I was recording this, because we were still around sort of 4:15. But it's a beautiful sunny day. I've been working my ass off all day cleaning the house down. I thought, you know what, Steve, you've earned it, mate. You've earned it. Get one of them down. There you go, people. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It is ice cold, people. Absolutely lovely. Right, let's crack in, shall we? So I'll run down like I always do with these things. I'll run them down in order as they happened, effectively. And for the ones that I want to talk about, I will. And for the others, I'll just kind of go, that happened, and move on. Because either I can't remember enough about it, or it just wasn't of interest. Okay, so first out the why am I forgetting that phrase? First out the traps, people. First out the traps was Saints Row. Now, I knew the minute that this trailer started, after about maybe 15-20 seconds, I thought, this feels like Saints Row remake. Well, not remake, but this feels like a Saints Row game. The vibe of it. I mean, to be fair, what we got was a huge sort of a movie trailer. But they did, after the movie trailer, they chatted to the woman that plays the main character in the game. And then she said, we've got some gameplay for you. And then it showed you a big bit of gameplay as well. I will try and find some of this footage to put up behind me. It does. They've built it from the ground up. They haven't used any of the previous engines. So they've built I think the engine is the ground up as well. So everything, it's a new set of characters. It's a new city. Everything is new. Like, there is nothing about this game that here, other than maybe fragments of ideas. There's nothing coming over from the previous Saints Rows. And I have never played a Saints Row game, right? I know, shock and horror, right? And I don't know actually if it is shock and horror. I think it would be shock and horror if I said I'd never played a Grand Theft Auto game or something, which that would probably be more surprising to people. But to say that I haven't played a Saints Row game, I think there's probably a lot of people out there that haven't played Saints Row, but it is, to me, very much like Grand Theft Auto. But I think it has a bit more of a singular purpose, and I don't know, I was going to say it could be a bit sillier, because from some of the trailers I've seen, but Grand Theft Auto can get silly on its own. But I know a lot of people have been waiting to get a new Saints Row game. I like the fact that it seems to, well, they have done it they've gone away for ages and ages and ages, and they have built this thing from the ground up rather than just cashing in on the fact that people wanted another Saints Row game. So I do love the fact I love it when developers do that. They just go quiet and then suddenly boom, like, hey, we've done another one, but we've done it from the ground up. I mean, it's almost like a reboot. In fact, I'm pretty sure the actress that was on stage called it a reboot at one point. And I really like the look of it, I have to say. Whether it's something I would play, I don't know, but that's not because there was anything wrong with what they showed off. It looks superb. It's just whether it's a game that I would be spending a lot of time in. The only game of that ilk that I made an exception for was Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs just grabbed me from the minute I started playing it, and I just adored that game. And I've talked about it umpteen times on similar podcasts as this, people. But it is without. I mean, Sleeping Dogs is one of my favourite games of all time. I mean, it's well in my top 10, I would think. You know, Dead Space is obviously in there. The Last of Us is probably top. But yeah, I would have to put Sleeping Dogs in that top 10 because it is amazing. And I think the thing with Sleeping Dogs was it had a story that you wanted to follow through, alongside having the open world, alongside having the racing cars, alongside having the side missions, alongside, you know, the martial art thing right in the middle of it. So it was fun to have fights and be the cop or the undercover guy. And it was just really, really good fun. If you've never played that game, even if you don't like Grand Theft Auto type stuff, I trust me, that game it's a real winner. Even if you only play it to play through the story, it's a winner. And you can get it for a couple of quid now. I mean, it's dirt cheap. And sadly, the company went bust, so we won't be seeing another one unless somebody buys the franchise up. However, I digress, people. So it's possible that this game, this Saints Row game, might have something in it that grabs me the way that Sleeping Dogs did. But I think Sleeping Dogs grabbed me because it didn't get silly at any point. It knew at its heart it was a gritty Chinese sort of Hong Kong martial arts game set in the sort of criminal world of that, and it didn't have any silliness in it. It didn't matter. I mean, I guess it did. There was some little sort of racing bits and stuff, I guess, but there weren't. You still felt like you were in a real world. You didn't feel like, you know, you weren't running around in a pig head helmet or something, you know, like a pig head or something. I don't know. You know what they do in these games now. So there wasn't anything of that in it. You always felt like you were inside this true environment that you felt like was a gritty, you know, environment. It was really, really good. And I get the feeling with Saints Row that could be the one that's probably going to get a bit sillier than that. I know GTA does, but it still can be gritty. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see if it's something that's going to be of interest to me. The only game of that type that's ever grabbed me like that was Sleeping Dogs. So I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, someone will buy that and make another one. Anywho, Saints Row, people. Saints Row. I'm saying Saints Row, but I don't recall seeing a name. I know there was this name of the city, but I think it was just called Saints Row. So I feel like it probably was a reboot, and they're just going to start from one again. I mean, to some extent, you're probably just better calling it the names of the cities if that's what you're going to do and move towns each time. You know what I mean? I mean, Grand Theft Auto I think there was called Vice City, weren't there? Ooh, I've only done 0.1 and I'm thirsty already, folks. What was up next? So next up we had Midnight Suns was the next one up. And when this started, I thought, oh, here we go, more Square Enix doing their Marvel's Marvel's Avengers thing. But it wasn't. Midnight Suns is a completely different studio making another Marvel game, and it is being made by the guy that created XCOM. And when they said that, I immediately went, this is going to be a strategy game without any shadow of a doubt. It has to be, because that's what the guy does. Not that someone can't move on and make it a different type of game, but so this has actually piqued my interest because XCOM and Gears Tactics, stuff like that, I adore games like that when they're done really well. Even Wasteland, stuff like that, you know. So I'm actually really, really keen to see what they've done with this Marvel universe. And they have several characters were sort of highlighted. I didn't grab them all, but there was Blade, Doctor Strange, Captain America was in there, I think, and like Call of Duty Vanguard. That's the next point, Stephen. It's in the same section as them. But there was also a character called Hunter, which they asked, because they had the guy on stage, they asked him about it, and he said that they actually created a new superhero called Hunter, and they created it with Marvel. So they've actually created this new superhero that you play as when you play the game. So I think that's really cool. I love when things like that happen, where they get to work with the actual comic people and makes, or at least the Marvel people. I'm sure I've seen that happen a couple of times before, but I can't remember off the top of my head what that would have been. But I do love it when there's a close connection between the people that are trying to make a game and the people that are trying to make, doing it in some other way. I remember way back when the Two Towers game came out for the Lord of the Rings, and I specifically remember the game studio being allowed access, or EA, I can't remember what the exact studio was, but it was EA. And they were allowed access to not only the film studios, but also to the actors to do the motion capture for the kill shots and the movement of the fighting and all that sort of stuff. So I love it. I love it when the studios get that kind of access to be able to bring something truly unique, or make it feel like you're actually in that universe. I think it's fantastic. So we didn't see a huge amount other than a movie trailer. We didn't get to see, so far as I remember, we didn't get to see any gameplay at all. Well, in fact, hang on, I think it says here. Midnight Suns March. March 2022 is when it's coming out. Tactics RPG from Webcom creator, and gameplay will be revealed on the 21st of September. So I'll look forward to seeing a bit more of that. And I'm going to anticipate that it's going to be very similar to XCOM, but I'd like them to mix it up a little bit. And I suspect that they can be a bit more exciting on screen with your characters, because they're saying that you play as Hunter, but if it's anything like XCOM, you'll have a team of people. You'll be commanding like a team of 4 up to 8, I think XCOM can go to on the screen. So I mean, I'm actually really, really interested in that, and I'm going to be keeping a close eye to see what sort of happens with that one. So there you go, Midnight Suns. Hopefully, again, I'll try and find some footage I can put up behind me while I'm talking about these things. It's going to be interesting to see what their take on the characters is as well, like your Captain America and your Blade and your Doctor Strange and all that, because the thing I found with the Square Enix one was that I haven't played it, but it's also refreshing. So I'm side pointing here. It's refreshing to see a Marvel, that kind of game, not just land into an MMO like the other Avengers game has. When I saw it, I thought, are they just punting out a similar thing over and over again? But they're not. They've specifically gone down the route of finding someone who's going to make a completely different game to what Square Enix have done. So I think that's really, really cool. And when you look at the Square Enix one, and I've only seen trailers and footage of other people playing it, their takes on the characters are actually quite cool. Like, I actually prefer, the minute I saw them, I thought, I completely like get into the way that they've built those characters, because it's difficult once you've seen films with people playing those parts. It's very difficult to envisage them in another way. It's like no child is ever going to be able to read a Harry Potter book now, because the chances are they'll see the film first, which means they'll never have their own image of what the characters look like. So that's the sad part of when a book becomes a film, or in this case a game from a comic book. I mean, it's a little bit different with the book, because your imagination does the work, but the imagination of seeing what those characters would look like to you is gone the minute you see a film. Like, the minute you read the book, you're just seeing the characters from the film. You can't imagine it any other way. So that's it from that point. But with a game, obviously they get the opportunity to give you another visual representation of those people. And the way that Square Enix did it, I thought was really, really good. And I could utterly believe that those characters had jumped out of the comic book. And as I was watching it, wasn't thinking about Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man or what have you. You know, like the way that they were depicted on screen was really cool, and I was sitting watching some gameplay of it, and I was well into it. So it'll be interesting to see what they've done with their versions of those characters, and if they've been working with the comic studio. Well, if they've been working with Marvel, then you know I'm sure they'll have tapped into whatever they can from ideas that they might have had. So anyway, yeah, super excited for that one. There, next up, there was a big show off of Call of Duty Vanguard, and they had Laura Bailey on stage with one of the devs, and I love Laura Bailey. She's really, really good. She's a very cool person, and she does a lot of other stuff outside of gaming to do with the sort of games and getting involved with communities and stuff. And she's just the variety of voices and stuff she does. She looks like a really fun character as well, just in herself. But the amount of variety of voices she does is just incredible. But she has, for the first time now, she is appearing as one of the main characters in Call of Duty Vanguard. Call of Duty Vanguard is going back to World War II. And for me, that actually piques my interest, because I don't think I've loved the Call of Duty games since Call of Duty 3 was probably my last one, which was the last World War II one, I think. And they showed a spectacular... I mean, I don't know if this is a... Well, it was the origin of her story by the looks of it, because they kind of went immediately into the sort of action-y bit, and then they did a flashback bit at the end, which is obviously what you do first in the game. And they must have been in Poland, I assume. Her character seems to be Polish. And it's been a while since I've played a Call of Duty game, to be fair, but it looked really good. I mean, it looked stunning visually to look at. I could easily play through. I mean, I would never play Call of Duty multiplayer now, but I would absolutely play through. I think the last Call of Duty I played was Ghosts, which a lot of people slate and say it was probably one of the worst ones. But I always feel like when I played a Call of Duty game that I got a great campaign, and I was always happy with the campaign. I always felt like I'd been on a good ride, and it was, you know, fun to do. But the multiplayer, I did do it back in the day, but I was always shit at it. This looks like it's got a really good campaign, to be fair, and some really... Well, certainly her character looks a really interesting one to play. They also had her climbing up the side of buildings, and that sort of stuff is new. I've never seen that before in the sort of gameplay mechanic of a Call of Duty game that I can remember. I mean, you can climb up a ledge or, you know, stuff like that, but not up the side of a building. I mean, I'm sure it's all pretty linear. But, you know, it was spectacular when, bombs were dropping everywhere, buildings were half falling down while she was trying to climb up them. She's a sniper, and so, you know, I mean, the clip, she started off with nothing, picks up a knife, does some takedowns with the knife, then quickly gets a shotty type gun. Seemed to be sort of it was a weird looking gun, but it seemed to be like a shotgunny type thing. Then eventually she picks up the sniper rifle, and then you see a bit of that action as well. But I mean, it looks spectacular, and I have to say, like, I don't think I'd be buying it at launch. And I know a lot of people are like, "Ooh, boo," you know, support developers. Like, listen, they don't need supporting. They make billions out of all the multiplayer people. So I think I will be buying that game at some point when it's sort of come down in price, and I'll play it for the campaign, because it looked really, really cool. And the fact that Laura Bailey's in it's quite cool as well. So yeah, it was visually stunning, though. I have to say I was very impressed with it. Was there any date on that? Yeah, it's coming out on November 5th. Halo, right? So Halo, it was a weird one, because Halo don't think it was mentioned at all in Xbox's thing a couple of days before this, but obviously it's because they wanted to bring the chap on, whose name I'm forgetting off the top of my head, to announce a couple of things. And it's all gone a bit strange with Halo, because they came out about a week or so ago and said that there's not going to be any co-op campaign, right? So you won't be able to play online co-op through the campaign of the Halo game at launch. It will come after launch, and it sounds like it's going to be about 3 months after launch, and because they said their seasons are going to be about 3 months apiece, and it will come at the beginning of the next season. So, I don't know, there's a little bit of me that starts to worry again about Halo, because there's half of me worries about it, and there's another half that says this could be a good thing, because when they brought Joseph Staten, that was his name, when they brought Joseph Staten back in, who was one of the guys that kind of made Halo what it was with Bungie, that was when people had kind of backlashed against what they'd seen. So over the last year, it's possible that he's tried to change so much for the better that they just didn't have enough time to get that bit ready. But what we do have coming is a lot better than what we were seeing before. So the other side, the flip of that coin, is that you can look at it like this just should be there at launch, and if they were behind in any other situation, if they hadn't delayed it a year already, they'd probably delay it until it was ready. But because this is now it's basically an online game, this, so it's going to be up, it's game as a service, it's going to be. So, I don't know that they'll actually launch another Halo. It'll just be Halo Infinite, season 1, season 2, season 3, whatever, and you'll just get like Destiny. It'll just be like Destiny. So if that's what it is, then I guess it's not as much of a thing. I don't know that people... back in the day, people did a lot of co-op campaign stuff. I don't know that people do now. I don't think there's a lot of games that do it. You get MMOs where people can all jump in together, but, you and a mate playing one game, I think those sort of days are kind of done. I think Gears did it. Gears did 2-player first one, 2-player second one, 4-player third one, I think, something like that. But yeah, I don't know that campaign co-op is something that people are crying out for anymore. But that doesn't mean that people didn't want it. It could have been that people were like, yeah, we don't get enough of this anymore, and we're going to be playing it on, I do believe, though, I think you can play the co-op split screen. You just can't play it online. So I think I may be remembering wrong. Someone can remind me, can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. But I feel like they said that the split screen campaign co-op was there, but just not the online. So it's going to be interesting. But that was all a week before this, and then they didn't mention it at the Xbox event, and then this happened. So Joe Staten came on, and he basically said that Halo Infinite campaign and multiplayer are coming on December 8th. So we finally got a date for its launch, and it is December 8th, 2021. So I think the only downside to all of that was that we're not going to have co-op campaign at launch, but I wouldn't have played... Well, I might have done, actually. I might have played it with a mate at launch, co-op campaign. I certainly did on Gears. 4, not 5, but 4. Did I have 5? I certainly did on 4. Oh, I can't remember now. Lost track of it all. No, I did. Yeah, Gears 5. I definitely did. Yeah, I played that co-op. So, I might well have done, because I do have mates that love Halo as well. What else have we got? Yes, so they moved from that to the 20th anniversary of Xbox, which was this year. And I think this is probably why they just weren't going to delay Halo again. It was like, it's 20th anniversary, we're not delaying it until the year after the anniversary. So, yeah, they basically, they put up a trailer first for the Halo controller, so you can get a special edition Elite 2 Halo controller, Xbox Elite Wireless 2 controller, Halo Limited Edition console, yeah. And then you got the, why have we got that separately? Anyway, there was a controller. You can get a controller that is sort of a Master Chief type themed controller. It looked really, really cool. I'd be tempted myself, apart from I actually feel like I probably want to just go on to the, what do you call it, and design my design lab and design my own at some point. And then they showed that, and then he went, well, it wouldn't be the 20th anniversary if we didn't have this as well. And then they showed another trailer for an Xbox Series X Halo console, which is really cool. But the problem is that people can't actually get an Xbox Series X. And then I think just about 70% of people were trying to get on and pre-order one, and they couldn't get one pre-ordered because the whole internet had just broken, because people were trying to get hold of them. They're just, it's great to have limited edition stuff, but I just never go out my way for it. I feel like I've got an Xbox Series X, I've got a PlayStation 5, I feel blessed as it is to have got them. day one. I don't need to be getting another one that could go to a person who doesn't have one, just so it's got Halo on it. So, you know, I'm more than happy for someone else to get one. But it was kind of cool that you could go and pre-order one and at least know, for those people that got through, know that you're going to get an Xbox Series X at some point soon. I don't think you can actually pre-order Xbox Series X's in general. You just have to keep waiting for stock to arrive in shops. So anyway, quite cool that the anniversary stuff's happening. It would have been quite nice if they'd done something a bit different with the shape of it, though. You know, like the Xbox. I think I heard the guys on. Why am I having a massive brain blank, people? What's happening? The guys on the Kind of Funny Gamescast for the Xcast on Kind of Funny. Gary Whitta, wasn't it? Gary Whitta. I'm sure it was him that said it'd be really cool if you could make an Xbox Series X that was in the same shape as the original Xbox. I think that would have been really cool. But, you know, I think the way things are, COVID-wise, the way the world is at the moment, I think, you know, trying to get the logistics of that, I think, could be mental. I think the production is clearly in place for making that shape, that, you know, that particular design in the S. To actually introduce another one at this point in time, probably not something they wanted to bear thinking about. But anyway, still cool that they've done it. What was up next, people? Yeah, there was a game called Cult of the Lamb, which kind of flew by me. Midnight Fight Express. Oh, that was the game made by the one bloke. Yeah, it actually looked really cool. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was sitting there going, I have no memory of this place. And then it suddenly, because I'd written down the single dev part, so one bloke has written this. I thought, I don't want to get his country wrong now. I feel like he was from Poland or someone like that. But he's basically made this game all by himself. And I tell you, it looks really good. I mean, you do get the vibe that it's an indie game, but it looks like a really cool world. It's got loads of it reminded me a bit of it was almost like a 3D Street Fighter type thing going on. You know what I mean? Like that kind of vibe to it. From the sort of trailer that we saw, but it also had a lot of humor inside it, and you know, it's clearly for adults, I think, but because of the violence in it. But I mean, it did look quite cool, though. To be fair, hopefully, I can find some footage to put behind me. But yeah, I love stuff like that. Like, you know, one person made this game. I think that's really cool, and it does make me ponder on whether or not I should download the Unreal Engine and just see what is involved in making a game, because I'm a programmer by day. But it happens to be for, websites and, you know, that sort of stuff. Database. Well, it's web-based database stuff that I do. But it would be interesting in C#. It was basically what I used to do my programming. But I think game developers tend to use C++ maybe. And I don't think there's a million miles from C# to C++. So I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, you know, maybe you don't need that heavy a programming skill set to actually put a game together now with the Unreal Engine stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I've never, ever spent any time looking into it. But every time I hear a story about one bloke made this game on his own at home, or, you know, I think there was the other one as well. The name, I'm forgetting it. The one, I think you play as a sort of bird through it. I'm sure that guy did it on his own as well. But yeah, I mean, I may well download it at some point, because I think you can actually download under it. I kept having the idea, and I thought, I might as well wait for Unreal Engine 5, and then it will be, you know, because I don't think it's that far away. But from what they were saying, and I think it's true now, I think you can actually download the product for nothing. But if you actually sell something, they take, and you make a certain amount of money, they then start taking their cut, which is fair enough. You know, it's quite a good way of doing it. Anyway, very, very cool. Midnight Fight Express, and it's coming in 2022. I think he's been making it for years. Yeah, it's understandable, just him doing it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge was shown off. Super Monkey Ball Bananas was shown off. A game called Splitgate was shown off. Season 0. I don't know why you're punting Season 0. Surely that's the beginning of the game. But I think they've had people playing Splitgate. Now, I'm going to apologise, because I feel like Splitgate is just PC at the moment, certainly. I could be wrong, but I feel like it's a PC game. But I think I noted it down because I thought it was a really cool concept. Not something I would play, but basically what it felt like was, and I think I've got this the right way around. Yeah, it is the Portal one. So basically, you're playing what looks like very similar other sort of shooter games, but you have the ability to open portals like the game Portal. So you can like create a portal and then dive in one way and appear from somewhere else behind somebody else and stuff like that. So it was a really, really cool concept, and it's been built by two guys at college in America, I think. And it's doing really, really well. It's selling ridiculously well, I think. Well, I'm saying selling ridiculously well. It's free to play, I think. So however they make their money will be on the things that people buy once they're inside the game. But yeah, it was a really super cool idea. I wonder if because I mean the concept of a portal isn't new, right? Like going into something shaped like a portal and ending up somewhere else isn't new. Like that concept's there, like you can use it, I guess. But a concept where you go into a portal and appear in the same place behind, somewhere else, that's kind of the game Portal, right? So I'm wondering if they've got to pay anything toward that idea, because surely they must have trademarked that or something. Or maybe it's been used in games before. Let me know in the comments below if that's been used before. But the first time I've ever seen that used was in the game Portal. So, I'm just curious as to whether they'd have to, pay some kind of money toward that. If it is indeed copyrighted, anyway. Anyway, very cool concept. It may, and if it is PC, it may well come to console at some point. Certainly a very viable game for it. A Riders Republic, Ubisoft. Oh yeah, Ubisoft. They showed off Riders Republic. It's an Ubisoft biking, skiing, sporty type game. It's coming out on. I'm saying that with a nasty face. I don't mean it in a nasty way, but it's not my thing. I feel like Ubisoft are fast becoming another EA, if they haven't already. It's just all becoming a bit everything online, and let's just milk the cow rather than make new games every 3 years. So anyway, it's coming out on the open beta is on now, I think, until I want to say until 28th of no, it is the until end of Gamescom, I think. And full release is October 28th. So if you're into the sort of, if you're into that kind of thing, like, BMXing but skiboarding, snowboarding. Jesus, I'm having a lot of mind blanks. But it's all the cleaning I've done today, people. My mind's gone numb. But yeah, I mean, it looked good fun, if that's your thing. A UFL free-to-play football. I mean, I wouldn't normally talk about a football game because they are what they are, but we did know that the Pro Evolution Soccer lot are going to make their game free-to-play, aren't they? And, so I heard in rumours. So I was quite surprised to see this pitch up because this seems to already be kicking around. It's called UFL. It's free-to-play football online. And clearly they'll make their money from you buying, I don't know, kits and individual boots and, I don't know, all the sorts of stuff you can do in these sorts of things. So it was very interesting to see somebody come along and do that before Pro Ev has actually got that going. But it does beg the question as to why people are going to buy FIFA. Because if that's there and Pro Ev goes free, I think that'll have a massive hit on people buying FIFA day one. I mean, the one thing they've got going for them is that... God, I'm just flashing my skin at you people, I had an itch. The one thing they have got going for them is they've got all the rights to all of the leagues, the Premier... All of the leagues. All of the countries of leagues you can think of, that I can think of, as well as the Champions League stuff as well, I want to say. And yeah, you can do everything in it, whereas the others are a little bit more restricted, I think. Anyway, it was interesting to see. Here's the one, people. Here's the one. The one that's getting me more excited than all the others, really. The Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga is coming spring 2022. We finally know when it's coming along. And the trailer looked absolutely awesome. I'm not like I haven't... I've played a couple of Lego games. I played a Lord of the Rings one a really long time ago, and I played it for a little while, and then I got bored with it. And then the next time I touched one was about, I want to say about 2 years ago, something like that. And I'm sure I talked about it in a vlog or a podcast. But I played The Force Awakens. I didn't finish it, surprise. But I played The Force Awakens Lego game. Yeah, and I think it may well have been. Oh no, it was the demo. It was the demo of The Force Awakens, and then I didn't want to buy it because it was still full price, so I kept waiting. You can get it dirt cheap now, but I always meant to go back and buy it because I had a really good time with it. I mean, I think because it was Star Wars and there was a lot of humor in there that I liked. But the part where you actually get to, for spoiler, you fly the Millennium Falcon, when it's just like the film when she's on the sandy desert at the beginning. It's not Tatooine, is it? Is it Tatooine that she's on? I can't remember. Anyway, and eventually you get into the Millennium Falcon and fly off. The flying bit was so much fun, and the game was so much fun. And then I just never got round to buying it. And then the next Lego game that sort of caught my attention is this one, which got shown off, I don't know, I want to say about 6 months ago or something. But it was no, it wasn't that long ago. E3, I think, was the first time we saw it, wasn't it? Or it might have been the second time, I can't remember. But anyway, I got super excited. I got goosebumps when I saw the trailer because it had all of the original films in it, as well as, obviously seeing through. So episodes 1 to 9 it's going to cover, isn't it? So it's just so cool seeing all of the little characters and stuff from all the films. I mean, I might end up playing it, and it's not everything I want it to be, but I'm definitely going to play that game. It looks like a lot of fun, and it looks like it's going to have a lot of humor in it that I'm going to connect with, because that, certainly the first, well, all of those films are my lifetime. I was a genuine kid old enough to watch Star Wars when it came out in 1977. And from that point on, they've always been very close to me. So I get proper goosebumps. I mean, I remember seeing the trailer for Force Awakens when it first came out, and I got so bad goosebumps with that. Unfortunately, I mean, The Force Awakens is fine. It's a fun film, and I'll take bits out of the second one. And the third one I had fun with as well, of those new 3 ones, 7, 8, and 9. But, we all know it was a clusterfuck. Why they didn't write a story spanning 3 films and then get 3 directors to do them, I've no idea. Disney have managed to do everything else sublimely, with everything, including everything else Star Wars, apart from those 3 films. They didn't know what they were doing. Like, how can you not know what you're doing? Write a script that spans 3 films and get 3 directors to direct them. Don't let the director make up the stories each time you get a new director. That's just fucking, what's that about? Fucking nonsense. Anyway, they were still fun. I still got fun out of them, but I could easily push them to one side and just have the other 6. And I know that the 1, 2, and 3 get a hard time, but I have a lot of soft spots for those films, and I think they're far, far more harshly treated than they should be, and especially if you compare them to those 3 that we just got, because by far those 3 we just got weren't as good as those 3. Come on now. So, anyway, well, I digressed into movies, people. But yes, anyway, I'm super excited for Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. I'm really looking forward to it. Spring 2022, people. The Outlast Trials was the next thing up, people, which is, yes, it is Outlast all over again. Now, I've played Outlast 1 and I managed to finish it, and I'm really proud of it because it's fucking freaky as shit, that game. But I never played 2. I thought I just can't bring myself to play that sort of game again. My problem is that I don't like a game where it's all about just running away and hiding in a corner and sneaking about. I need something more than that. And it's not because that makes it terrifying. It's just, after a while, it's just not fun to run away all the time. You need a bit more. And that's why when you look at Resident Evil Village, I fucking love that game, you know, because it's first person, it's a freaky environment, but you've got the action with it, you've got the shot. I mean, even in the places you don't have the guns and stuff, they still managed to make it interesting, and they did have the bit where you had to hide and, you know, but they kept it short. They knew that you don't want too much of that, you just want a little bit that's freaky and then get back to the, you know. So I just can't bring myself to, but this is interesting because it's co-op for a start. I think 3-player co-op online. But it almost sounds like, and we couldn't quite tell, but from the trailer that was there, it kind of felt like it was a bit like Saw, you know, like you're going to end up in rooms and stuff, and you're going to have to figure your way through it, hence the trials part. And I feel like that's what they've done. I feel like they've gone with their Outlast environment and world and universe, if you like, and they're going for this Saw type of thing where you're like, shit, how do we get out of this room? How do we do, you know, or escape room even? How do we get out of here? How do we, you know, get through this trial? So it's going to be really interesting to see if indeed that's what they've done. They're a Canadian studio that do that. Red Barrel, is it? I think. So yeah, solo or multiplayer. You don't have to play with someone else. So it'll be interesting to see what that game is, because if they have mixed it up, and if they have mixed it up, that means that even they realise that there's only so much running away people want to do, and they've kind of thought, well, we've got this great universe. What about doing this in it? You know, which is a bit different. So that's quite cool. Next up was, Doke. I might say this wrong, but Doke V, I think it was called. Now, this was an interesting one because it was the wildest trailer you've ever seen in your life, and I'll never be able to show it all because it went on for about 10 minutes. And I'm always texting my son Aaronbury while these things are going on, and we're both watching it at the same time. And he was like, I have no idea what this is, but it looks great. You got kids skating, boarding, cycling, flying, running around. They were shooting something at one point, but it was not a proper gun. I think it was some weird thing they were shooting. And then it flashed to the flying thing. You were then chasing some sort of dragon or flying creature or something. It was just wild. But in the main part, and I said this, I texted him this. I said to him, when he said that, I said, it feels like Grand Theft Auto for kids. You know, Grand Theft Auto Kids, I think I called it. Which is what I've written down here to remind me of what it was. Grand Theft Kids. That's what I said. But that's what it felt like. You know, it felt like that kind of thing. Like you're in this city and the world's your oyster. Just go and do what you want to do, but within the realms of not, you know, lopping people's heads off and killing hookers. You know, something children are allowed to do, people, in their world. But it looked super fun. It looked really pretty. It was one of the standout trailers of the whole night, and I've never heard of it before. So yeah, Doke V, keep an eye out for that, people. I've got no idea. I completely missed if they actually put a launch date on it or any kind of timeline or anything, but it looked really, really cool though. And hopefully I've talked long enough to show you at least a piece of that action. But yeah, I was super surprised at that. It'll also be interesting to see if it is actually aimed at kids or whether it's just aimed at a game that is you as teenagers or kids, but it's there really for adults as well. But you can say that about any kind of kids stuff though. You know what I mean? Like most adults will sit and play the kids games or go to the Pixar movies and that sort of stuff. But anyway, super pretty game. And looked really good fun as well. Jurassic World Evolution 2 theme park game was shown off again. I think that's got potential, to be fair. But when it comes to linking games to movies, it's dodgy ground, isn't it? But I think that could be a bit of a hit if they've done it really well. Where you can actually, you know, it did look really cool where you could, you know, you're putting out your facilities, you've got to build stuff up, you've got to stop the animals escaping, put your protections down. There's loads you can do with that, you know. So I'm not sure if it's something I would play, but it certainly looks like a really, really cool idea. I know the actual concept of that type of game isn't new, but to put it in the world of Jurassic Park and make it, you know, about the dinosaurs, fantastic idea. There was another amusement park game shown off as well, which I actually took the opportunity to go to the toilet, people. I have no idea what it was called, but it so there was another one shown off. Far Cry 6 was actually before the other amusement game, but Far Cry 6 was shown off again. It's coming on October 7th, people, if you're into Far Cry. I'm kind of Far Cry'd out now. I feel like the third one, I almost finished the third one as well. I definitely finished the fourth one. And then after that, was like, I'm kind of done with that now. It's the same old hat every time. Tat, I should say. But yeah, I mean, they are fun games. I don't know. This one, I'm not sure. The more I see of it, the more I'm thinking there was something about the third one on that island, and the fourth one kind of did the same thing, but then you're in the mountains and stuff. But I feel like that concept can grow old if you start ending up in similar environments. And this one feels to me like I know it's not the same place, but it feels like the same vibe as the third one. They've tried to go for a baddie that people can really hate on and, or hate to love, as it were, and that sort of stuff. I'm sure a lot of work's gone into it, and it does look super pretty and stuff, but I don't know. It's not for me, but I'm sure it's going to be super popular. Anyway, October 7th, Far Cry 6. That amusement game was next, and then Jet was shown off again. I'm not sure about this game, Jet, to be fair. But it looks like it could be quite good fun. It does look very indie dev. I mean, it looks like it is a very small studio that's made that game. It looks like it is really all about the flying around, because the stuff where you're actually a person doesn't look great to me at all. But they keep pushing it though. It depends what they sell at, I suppose. But it doesn't look like something I will play. They showed it off at E3, but they showed it off here again. Okay, so here was the next thing that was of interest. We're getting close to the bottom of the list. We've still got a bit to go. But mind you, a lot of the end stuff's kind of just rattle through it. But Horizon Zero Dawn. Well, actually, I should say Horizon Forbidden West has finally got a release date of the 18th of February 2022. So we do know when it's coming now. So it was really nice to hear the date announced. And just before, well, I'd say maybe about 20 minutes, maybe, because this was quite far into it. About 20 minutes in, Aaron Brew, who I was texting about this at the same time, had spotted something on Twitter, I think, saying that, holy shit, a patch just appeared for Horizon Zero Dawn for the 60 FPS 4K patch. And at that point, I thought, well, they're going to pitch up on this, because why would they do that just out of the blue while this opening night live's on at Gamescom? So so it wasn't a surprise then when he pitched up and then said that, and the minute he said the date, I thought he's going to mention this update now, because the community's been crying out for it. It was like literally the only first party game I can think of from Sony that hadn't got a 60 FPS patch yet. And I was waiting for the 60 FPS patch to go back and try it again, because I've never finished that game. I got quite heavily into it, and then I don't know, I've talked about this before, I'm not going to go into it again massively heavily, but I feel like they got a lot right in the game, but I feel like a lot of the RPG stuff just wasn't good enough. Like the armor, the weapons, it just wasn't interesting enough. Like, it needs to be more interesting than that if you're going to call it an RPG. The loot base needs to be better. Like going to 5 shops in the same area that all have the same stuff isn't interesting. Carrying 5 pieces of kit around just because you have to swap clothes to fight that monster or that monster isn't exciting. Same with the weapons. It gets old really fast. So there was bits that I felt like needed a lot of work, and they kind of grated on me as I went through the game. However, there was a lot in there that I did love. The action was fantastic. It looked superb. The bits where you actually end up in, I can't remember what they were called, but the tomb areas, or for sake of calling them something, where you're sort of discovering more about what, the ye old cities that have fallen many, many years ago. Stuff like that was really cool when you found them. So anyway, I thought if they ever stick a 60 FPS patch on it, I will go and give it a go. However, that said, I might just do a couple of episodes to show them off on the channel, so you guys can see what it's like at 60, because I still haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, and that's now got a 60 FPS patch. So, and The Last of Us Part 2 got a 60 FPS patch. I do want to play that game again, but I need to be in the right frame of mind, people. It's so depressing. Like, just to play that game again, there's going to be bits of the day that are going to be very depressing. But anyway, good action though. So super excited. Horizon Zero Dawn has now got a 60 FPS patch, and so I think from what they said it was 60 FPS 4K, but I'll see that when I'll believe that when I see it. There was another Marvel game, but it was a mobile game, Marvel Future Revolution on mobile. Not sure if it's out now or coming, but I didn't pay much attention. I don't do mobile games, people. Tales of Arise demo is out now, I believe. Tales of Luminaria, I think I've got that right, on mobile again. So there's another Tales game on mobile. Jumanji: The Curse Returns. Lost Judgment. I'm just rattling through these. Lost Judgment still looks great. That's the follow-up to the game Judgment on PlayStation from the Yakuza people. And pretty sure that Judgment hasn't made its way to Xbox yet. I could be wrong. I know Yakuza's have. I feel like Judgment is still only on PlayStation though. Anyway, Lost Judgment. I've got Judgment downstairs and I've yet to play it. I need to play it. It looks great. In fact, it looks like something that's going to be the closest to Sleeping Dogs I'll find these days. Aaron says that. He says that I should play the Yakuzas from Zero up and just because it's only the most recent one, like a dragon that's gone RPG style turn based. Because they've said that they're going to keep the Yakuzas turn-based now, and you'll get the proper, the free movement action ones with Judgment. So, interesting. Deadmau5 5 announces Oberhasli Inside Core world building live world events. Yeah, it was some sort of live event. It was I didn't even know how to talk about this really, because it's one of those things where it's like a virtual world where you can build stuff and, events can happen like concerts and stuff from real people and all that sort of stuff. So that was kind of talked about a fair bit, but it's not going to be my thing. And I'm not even sure it's a console thing. I think it's a PC thing anyway. Fall Guys has got a patch for Jungle Book, which actually is quite cool. I haven't played Fall Guys, but it's a super big hit, that game. And sticking all the, I think it's called the King Louis patch or something. But anyway, it looked like it had all the characters from Jungle Book in it, from the original movie, so it looked really cool. Replaced was shown off very briefly again. Does look super cool, the vibe of that game. Age of Empires 4 is out on October the 28th, but it's PC. And I said to Aaron, I was like, I'd love to play this game on a console. But as he said to me, he goes, we used to play, him and his mates used to play Age of Empires 2. And he said, like, he doesn't even know how you would make that work on a controller. But as I said to him, though, I mean, the Xbox can now take a keyboard and mouse. So there is a bit of an argument that says that they could sell these games with the proviso that this game only works with a keyboard and a mouse. I'm surprised they've not sort of gone down that route. Or you can get another... Because I feel like that game will eventually play on the new Steam handheld that's going to come out. But the Steam handheld's got joysticks and it's also got the two touchpads underneath. So you can do mousey stuff with them. So why could we not have a touchpad like that? Controller like that? Christ's sake, Steve, another mind blank. Another controller like that for Xbox where it's got the touchpads on it and, you can do more funky stuff with it. Because I feel like that's the reason that World of Warcraft's never come to console. It could be the same thing. So there's no excuse now. The power's there to do these things. That if it's just down to it's just too much hassle to make it work with a controller of a standard kind, then make another controller with touchpads on it. Or the keyboard and mouse idea. Whether I would actually play a game with a mouse and keyboard, though, it's another story. But at least it gives people the option, though, doesn't it? Crossfire X, I think, was shown off very briefly again. Genshin Impact. Oh, Aloy. The character Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn is coming to Genshin on September 1st. Sifu was shown off again. That game does look really cool and quite very slick, actually. It's coming on 22nd of February 2022. February's starting to look a bit busy, or spring anyway. Sifu is what... I mean, we talked about it briefly, I think, on another one, but it's a very... kung fu-y, I don't know if it is kung fu actually, it might be karate, but anyway, martial arty type game. It looks a really cool environment. It does look like it really is just, from what I'm seeing, it's very much level after level of fighting rather than a game where you're wandering about a big open area or anything. But I'm hoping that it's a game that's got a nice tight story, because the action looks really, really cool and funky in it, I have to say, and the main character and stuff. I feel like, although I didn't mention it this time, that Sifu was the one that seem to have this age thing going on. Age at 25, age at 32, age at... Yeah, and I couldn't quite figure out what that was all about. But anyway, the fighting looks really, really cool. And then finally, and not leastly, Death Stranding Director's Cut is coming September 24th, and Kojima had this huge new trailer that he put together to show all these different pieces off with words coming up at the sort of subtitles coming up saying, you know, this is this bit, this is that bit, this is why we did it. But I mean, to be fair, I felt like it was a bit of a weak finish. Like you'd been better finishing with. I mean, the Death Stranding Director's Cut is all good and well, and I'm sure the fans of Death Stranding are going to love it. And I think people that were semi-interested in Death Stranding are probably going to be more interested in it now. But I just feel like you could have finished with something much bigger, like Halo. You know, the Halo launch date and the Halo special editions and stuff like that. It just felt like finishing on a patch. I know it's a little bit more than a patch, but it is in the end just a patch to a game that's been out for a very long time and has quite a niche audience anyway. So I'm not overly sure it was the strongest finish, but nonetheless, there's an awful lot gone into it. The trailer felt to me like it was the exact same stuff we'd seen already. So at E3, so there wasn't a huge amount more to talk about. It's just more fun things thrown in, like he's put a racing thing in it. Although the racing looked like the slowest racing game I've ever seen in my life. The clip they showed off, it looked like they were driving at about 20 miles an hour. So there's a new racing element to it. There's new ways of transporting your goods, in a faster way with using the robot or using not a slingshot, but a slingshot type thing though that shoots them over. Also got a jetpack type thing in it that helps you land from high up areas, and new weapons and all sorts of stuff in it. New areas as well. And I think there's a whole new warehouse type area thing where there's a secret to discover, and it looks like it gets a bit Metal Geary in there. You've got to work your way around rooms full of guards and stuff like that. So they've put a lot of work into it. Don't get me wrong, it does look like they've put a lot of work into it. And I'm sure it'll be a big hit, but just a little bit of a weak finish for me for the way it went. Anyway, that is all the things that I found of interest in that particular event, people. As it came to, I'll just quickly rattle through what the Xbox Gamescom event what they showed off effectively that I picked up on. Dying Light 2 Stay Human is December 7th. There was another trailer for that with two guys talking through it. It does look good fun, to be fair to it. Flight Simulator, they had the guy on talking about that again, and that game is spectacular, it has to be said. Reno of Rica this fall, I can't remember anything about that. Top Gun Maverick is coming to Flight Simulator at some point this year when the movie releases. Into the Pit, can't remember anything about that either. October 19th. Cloud Gaming is coming to the X and S this holiday 2021. I say X and S. They also were punting the fact that cloud gaming will work on the previous generation. So if you've got an Xbox One, you will be able to use cloud gaming in order to play stuff that might only be for new gen, which is quite a cool idea, that has to be said. If you can't go out of a console or you don't have the money yet, you can still play the game and just play it on the servers instead of on the actual console. You'll still be playing through your console, but it's the servers that will be doing all the work. Holiday 2021. We'll see how smooth it is when it launches. Wasteland 3 Cult of the Holy is the new DLC for Wasteland 3. Cult of the Holy Detonation, sorry. And it's coming October 5th. I have to say, it looks really good, and I really want to get back to Wasteland 3. It's also been patched with a 60 FPS patch. I was doing a playthrough of it on the channel when I had the Xbox One X, and I always wanted to get back to it, and never did. I was adoring playing that game, so I will get to play that at some point. It's interesting that a lot of these things aren't free on Game Pass. Like, you can buy Wasteland 3 you can have Wasteland 3 as a game if you're on Games Pass, but if you want this extra stuff, you need to pay extra for that. So you'll forever be able to play the game, but the DLC stuff, not all of it is coming free. Some of it is, not talking about Wasteland specifically here, but in Wasteland's case, it is not free. So I think it's like $20 or something, so maybe £15 in this country or something, for the DLC. So it's interesting to see how Game Pass is working, because you're paying $10.99 a month for it. You're getting the game, And it'll be interesting to see how it works for Halo Infinite, because you'll get the campaign, but what happens with all the updates and stuff like that? Because that's free to play and blah, blah, blah. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out with Game Pass and how much you do actually get free in the end. But it's still a great deal, don't get me wrong. It's fantastic. The best thing in gaming for me at the minute. State of Decay 2 Homecoming is... Oh, actually, this was quite interesting, because the State of Decay 2 Homecoming DLC is coming on September 1st. It's got a new map, new bosses, new bases, 10 new guns, 20 new outfits, and it revisits the Trumbull Valley from the first game, but it has a whole bunch of stuff in there that you go and want to find that you can only find there. They've kind of given you more areas that you can get stuck into from that Trumbull Valley area. They've put a lot of work into this, I have to say. It looks really, really impressive. And it's quite cool. If you don't want to go back and play the original one, at least you can go back and see Trumbull Valley through the second game. So that was really cool. So that was quite nice to see. Stray Blade is coming 2022. Can't remember much about that. Crusader Kings 3 coming to console. Yeah, that looked like quite an old game, but it's coming to console. Crusader Kings 3. Psychonauts 2 is out now. It came out on the 25th of August. The Gunk was shown off again. That looks quite cool, that game, to be fair. It was the first time I'd seen a trailer for it where... Because I think the first trailer I'd ever seen for it, it was literally just everything was covered in gunk and you were sucking up the gunk and you were finding the gunk somewhere else. I didn't actually get the concept of the fact that you're trying to get the gunk off of the planet, and when you get it off of the segments of the areas are gorgeous. Like this planet has been infested with this stuff, and if you can get rid of it or defeat whatever you need to defeat to get that area clear, it becomes this beautiful sort of paradise type section. So I'm actually quite keen to see more of that game, see more of what it's about. And then, of course, they finished off with Forza Horizon 5 coming on November 5th, and that game just looks incredible, people. Absolutely incredible. I mean, they just keep topping Forza Horizon. I mean, every time you see Forza Horizon game, you think, or any Forza game, you think, how are they going to top that next time? And they always do. I think the Forza Motorsport team have actually taken a step back in order to, I think, build the next one from the ground up in the new engines and stuff. So that'll be interesting to see what comes of that. But they are, by any stretch of the imagination, they're the best racing games around at the minute. It used to be Gran Turismo back in the day. There is a new Gran Turismo coming, but it's going to have to, I tell you, it's going to have to up its game. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a racing game guy, but I feel like I'd want to give Forza Horizon 5 a good go, because it does look like a lot of fun and there's a lot in there, you know. I mean, it'd probably be something I'd play a couple of nights and then go, right, that's enough of that. I can only drive around for so long, people, you know what I mean? Well, there you are. I hope that has been of some interest to somebody out there. I hope it's, in my mad way, I do try and bring you these things as best I can, and hopefully I've found some good trailers to throw up behind me as well. The rest of my evening will be putting that together, and God, I've got really dry in my throat pretty bad. It's not surprising, is it? Flagons up to you all. I hope you've enjoyed that. And if you've not been watching this with one of them, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Unless it's the morning or something. Calm down. As long as it's of drink o'clock. Anyway, there you are, people. That is all I have for you, people. All I have. There's a lot in there, you know. And Gamescom's still going on at the minute, so I'm sure more will leak out as we go. And of course, a lot of these things we've been talking about, they've been after events and stuff. They've been doing deep dives and more stuff going on. So if you weren't aware that this thing was going on at the moment, now Gamescom, for those that don't know what Gamescom is, but I'm sure you do if you watch this channel, it's just a big gaming event that happens normally in Germany, in Cologne, pretty sure it's Cologne, and it happens every year, just like E3 that's in Los Angeles, isn't it? But yeah, so it's a sort of German version of that, it's just the other big one. But of course it couldn't happen as a live event this year. They're hoping it'll be back as a live event next year again. But yeah, I mean, fans can buy tickets and they can go to the booths and all that sort of stuff and meet the devs and get hands-on with games that aren't out yet, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's exciting, people. It's exciting. I've never been... Well, that's not true. I've been to Expo Blackpool, which was a very small version of those, but still good fun though. Had all the retro stuff there, but the one I went to had the Xbox Ones there and the PS4s, I think, were there. And it was fun. Yeah, cosplay people there and all that sort of stuff. And then you had shops that were selling all sorts of different sort of merchandise along with retro stuff and new stuff and t-shirts and bangles and all sorts of people. Yeah, they're very. It was just that small one that I went to was really interesting. So the big ones must be fantastic, really incredible. Anyway, I ramble on, people. I ramble on. It has been, yes, it has, an honour and a privilege bringing this podcast to you today, and I shall see you all in the next one. Take it easy, folks. Bye.